You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Dexter After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Dexter After Show.
Oh yeah, everybody.
I like that.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Bing is for doing, and here we are doing another amazing AFTERBUZZ TV after show for your favorite show. It's Dexter, Season 8, Episode 2, and we're on the episode called Every Silver Lining, which is, it sounds like it wants to be a reverse of the every, it's, you know, it's from that one allegory, every cloud has a silver lining, but they're changing it around, every silver lining has a cloud, because it looked kind of cloudy this episode in Miami. I am your host, Shano, and I'm joined here by my awesome co-host in studio.
Oh, okay. Hey, I'm Stephen Lemieux.
And I'm JJ Jurgens.
And I'm on a Koppel. And I do just for, we had a couple of people last week, this week, I'm not sure, but our opening, I guess, may have offended some people last week. And so I want that to not happen anymore. And we are here to talk about Dexter, the after show.
Wait, what happened with our opening last week? Why was it our opening? Is this the guy that was on iTunes that we were talking about earlier?
Yes.
Off air? Okay.
Somebody asked, or they suggested that we may all have been on bath salts, which I'm not. The only thing that I know about bath salts, or the only thing I've ever heard, is about people like eating each other's faces off.
And we didn't do that last time, right?
I mean, not that I recall, but
This isn't Hemlock Grove.
No.
No, but what we like to do, this show is a discussion. So we're going to always interject like our personal thoughts about what's going on in the plot with the acting, the storyline, and so forth. Because this is a discussion show. It's like a book club. You know, we're not just going to reiterate or recite pretty much what happened on the episode of Dexter. We're going to be talking about our own personal feelings and beliefs about what happened with the characters and what's going to happen with our predictions.
And we'd love people to write in things that they'd like to discuss, or maybe things that we missed, or points that they'd like to make about it too, and we'll talk about it in here and discuss them.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
even if there is an episode that we don't really like that much, there's always a silver lining.
Yes. Every silver lining. Indeed. So we're going to be talking about Dex and Deb's relationship and how that was this episode. We're going to be discussing Vogel's influence and a little bit of Dexter's past. And lastly, we're going to be talking about El Sapo and the Brain Surgeon, which according to Steven sounds like a what?
It's a children's book. Now, class, we're going to sit down and read El Sapo and the Brain Surgeon. I'd
I don't know
listen
what
to it.
school you went to.
I went to the same school Dexter went to. apparently.
The brain surgeon, it's that guy who's in the teacher in the class, you know, opening up the toad and, oh, children, this is what
God.
happens inside the toad's brain. No, but let's go ahead. Let's get back to talking about
I can't
Dexter.
say anything. I don't even know what to say.
That was, there's no way you can follow that up. So Dex
Sean
and
is like, I killed it. You can't I'm not following that.
Dex and Deb. Okay, speaking of killing things, we think that Deb may be responsible for killing El Sapo. I'm not really too sure about this. Dexter believes so, and it leads to some conflict at the end of the episode. But what do you guys think?
Well, we get a lot of Dex and Deb throughout the episode, and it kind of arcs a little bit with seeing a lot of what Deb's going through now that with Elway and everything like Deb's going through. He knows she was sleeping with him. He's giving her a lot of crap for it.
Yeah.
I was going to ask about that. What are the rules for, I mean, does she have rules? Obviously, if she were still a lieutenant, this wouldn't be okay. It wouldn't be okay to be going after a perp and sleeping with him and calling it part of the job.
I think if she was a lieutenant, though, she wouldn't
Right.
be doing field work like what she's doing right now to this extent.
Sure,
Or
but-
undercover work.
I get the sense that anything goes, like working for Elway. As long as you get the goods, they make money off of it, everybody's happy.
I feel like there's something more between her and Elway, because when even in the last episode, he's like, I hired you, and I said you could do that because usually he wants people taking multiple cases at a time, and that was one of the stipulations when he hired her. It's like that Deb does what Deb wants. So like, why would he give such a great deal aside from her work with the Miami Metro?
I am such a Deb believer and fan that I did not want to believe that she shot him, and I thought that it was because Elway knew. I thought it was too convenient that when they're in the apartment, he's like, "Oh, I have a meeting. I can't go with you to the storage unit." All of a sudden. So I felt like he was kind of watching it all, setting it all up, knowing that El Sapo was watching her, and then gonna get the jewels from him, because he says that I only kill people that I'm hired to kill. So I thought okay, so he's maybe the one giving the orders of who he kills and doesn't kill, and then wanted to believe that he planted Deb's blood at the scene and knew her gun would be caught, and then still then drugged her up, and so that's what I want to believe.
So that he didn't have to cut her in on the money, or
yeah, just like it's some plan. Like he knows that she's such a hard worker that she'll go after all this, stir up all this stuff in ways that he's not capable or wanting to get his hands dirty, and then he'll get the money or get the jewels and stuff from her.
Right now, with all this discussion going on, I want to interject that I think maybe El Sapo was being hired by Elway.
Yeah.
And he could have been, maybe he could have said to Deb, he was like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna get 20%." He's like, "You know what? That's too much." So Elway's like, "Oh hey, El Sapo, you want 10% of what and then I'll go ahead and give that to you, whatever I get from the jewels."
I honestly, I can't see Deb having killed El Sapo at all. Like in my mind, it's impossible. Like they're trying to string the writing along to make you at least kind of think and have that suspicion. But the way, the timeline doesn't work out. Like El Sapo's in his car. He just got out to his car after taking Deb's gun, and Deb's knocked out on the floor with the door closed.
And they find him during the daytime too, so at least 12 hours must have elapsed, because it was really weird the way they filmed those scenes, because he got into the car, El Sapo, he got into the car and it was nighttime. Didn't seem like it was nighttime?
They were never saying that he was killed during the day, but what I'm saying, they found the body at the day. But what I'm saying is there's no way that Deb could have found another gun in that locker, opened the door, got all the way out there before El Sapo would have driven off. Hey, I got the jewels. I'm getting the hell out of here. Somebody had to be waiting for him in the parking lot, shot him, and then maybe Deb walked up to that and Elway chloroformed her or something. That's why she sees the dead body and has visions of that. Yeah,
I like that. That's actually a really good explanation for what could have happened. I feel like what Deb is, she's so guilty about everything that's going on, about all the lies, about killing LaGuerta, about lying for Dexter all the time, and she feels like she deserves something. In this episode, I feel like she was going to just, it felt like she wanted to confess to Quinn and everybody else in the department, hey, I'm doing stuff that's not good, and I want to get arrested. I want to be put away because I deserve it.
Well, she's self-destructive. Yeah,
definitely.
Another thing maybe, if she was knocked out as far as we know, she was knocked out when she was in the locker. I mean, all it would have taken is Elway going into the locker, pulling her out, and just putting her, laying her by the car. So when she wakes up, she finds the body, thinks that she did it, and she even standing up and grabbing the window, cutting her hand on the window, and that's how her blood got on the glass.
But I didn't even see any cuts on her hand, right? There were no shots with that in it, so I don't think...
Yeah, I was looking at the wrists. I didn't see any hands.
And I'm wondering whose gun was used, because what if Deb's gun wasn't even actually used at all?
Well, it looked like in her flashback that she was using a different gun. It looked like the larger gun that they found in the car, because he had taken her gun from her. So I mean, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot that doesn't quite make sense about, like you said, the timeline. I think the reason that it was dark was because they were in some sort of parking facility, because they were at a storage unit, I think. But so all the more reason I think they went to a different location.
But
I don't know.
Also, why would there be a bullet hole that's in the passenger side, right at the headrest area? Wouldn't you think that someone may have been there and the shooter shot and the person ducked and maybe got out of the way? So there could have been two people in that car.
Could Deb have been in the car? Could El Sapo have took Deb to another location? No, because he locked her in the...
Yeah.
No.
No.
Well, we'll probably find out next episode.
Or by the end of the season, because we know how they like to tease us with those little clues in the beginning, and then at the end of the season they reveal what really happened.
Well, we all know that Sean Patrick Flannery's character, Elway, is a little bit suspicious to the point. So thinking now maybe Dexter, now that he has Deb's gun, I mean, he would look into it. Hey, there are no bullets fired in this chamber. He'll start looking more into this and see something about Elway, and this is how we're going to get the arc where I originally thought that Sean Patrick Flannery was going to be the main adversary of Dexter this season. So maybe he still will be in an evil way, as opposed to what I thought last week, where he's just an investigator into Dexter. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. But back into Dex and Deb's relationship.
Yeah, so we talked a lot about Deborah. Let's
Yeah.
talk about Dexter and Deborah. Okay, so Dex, well, what happened with the only thing that I can think of with them, like their longest scene together, other than the last one that we were alluding to earlier, was when he finally comes to her place and she's at home and she's like totally drugged up and passed out practically. And he just starts talking to her about like, hey, what's going on with you? What did you guys think about that scene?
Well, she says a powerful line. She says,
Oh, yeah,
I
like-
didn't want to hate you. I wanted the opposite.
Yeah, and that was another allusion to last season, or rather, was that 2 seasons ago? 2 seasons ago, where she's like so in love with him, and it's so interesting how like she really has changed a lot, and back to your self-destructive thing.
Well, she said, I can't change the way I feel, so get out. So how is she feeling? Just that she hates him?
I feel like she still loves him, but she hates him.
Yeah, I feel like that's true, too.
Yeah, I could watch those two act together like all day long. I think it's just all their scenes are always so powerful. But yeah, I just think she's really struggling with her, kind of feelings again for him, because it's like she just the hatred now so much of what he's turned her into. It's self-hatred and hating him for all his disappointments. It's even like when she was gunned down in the storage unit, it was like she was almost like daring him to go ahead and do it, because at this point it's like she'd rather just die.
Yeah, that's right. She was looking down that barrel and she was just like, dude, just shoot me.
Yeah, I wanted to say something about that really quickly. Robert Lloyd Lewis, who's a producer for Dexter, was live tweeting during the show, so there's a lot of really cool information from him if everybody wants to go back and look at that. But she was doing most of her own stunt work. I think the only time they threw in a stunt woman was where she was actually thrown against a wall. And so
when she fell on all that stuff and she like really came down hard.
Yeah,
That was a good throw too.
It was a really good throw. Yeah,
She's strong. She's very strong.
Yeah,
she always tweets about boxing and all this.
That's right. I was gonna say that, Stephen. Yeah, you've been seeing her like training and stuff and doing MMA type things and like kickboxing.
Yeah, like I haven't seen her tweets in a while, but back when I did see them, when she was tweeting all the time, that's what it was always about.
Now it's lots of bowling.
I want to say something real quick.
Seriously,
too.
she's
Yeah,
doing
I
lots of
know.
bowling, which
Oh, really?
we both did on the 4th of July. Yeah.
So Deborah and Dexter, looking at their relationship, as well as Hannah. Hannah was the Black Orchid flower lady
Yes.
from last season.
Yes.
Hannah and Dexter. Hannah and Dexter became closer through the act of killing and the knowledge of knowing that Dexter's a killer. And now Deborah and Dexter have, like, you'd think Dexter's like become closer to her, but she's going further away. It's like the opposite thing once they know each other about it. But Deborah is now becoming a killer as well, as far as she knows. Like, she thinks that she's becoming a kind of a killer. Like, she's like, I don't know how many other people I'm going to shoot. So it's just kind of interesting to see the character development with that aspect, in that you never know. Like, Dexter just views the world as people are going to come in this one way, and now like, you think, I'm totally like dragging on. I think I mixed up my words somewhere. Don't even worry. I'm shutting up.
I wanted to also talk about that last scene in the alley, how she totally was just like, okay, all the lies, you know what, you're just going to clean up my mess, right? So we have that interaction, but with her asking Dexter to just like, you know what, just take care of it. She is so cavalier and like nonchalant about everything that's going on now. And she really is in a downward spiral, I feel. And what choice does Dexter have but to just like clean it up? But he doesn't even really know if the gun was fired or not, and if she did it. He's just. I wrote down in my notes that her blood being there is only direct evidence that she was there, but it's circumstantial evidence of her killing El Sapo. So we really don't know what happens. We have to use like an inference to like cross that bridge.
but it looked like there was a lot of blood there. So, I mean, was that he took like that one little piece of glass with him? Is that going to be the only drop of blood that she left if she was there?
He's the blood guy, though.
Where did the blood?
That's true. That's true.
Like come from?
Yeah, where did the blood even come from on her? We didn't see her have like a big cut or a wound or anything. So maybe it was planted there. Elway, he probably asked her for like DNA before she started working for him. Maybe he put like some blood over there.
I still think it's as simple as her getting up and grabbing the window, like to lift herself up. Otherwise, the only thing I could see is he was wiping blood off his face. If that wasn't his blood,
That too.
I mean, that's another option too, because it didn't look like he had a big cut on his face. He just had blood on his face.
Yeah. So where did the blood
I think he had a cut there.
Did he?
Yeah, on his forehead,
Yeah.
he kept wiping in one
Yeah.
spot.
I noticed that too. So maybe her blood got on him, but that was a lot of blood too. Like, where did that come from? Did she like cough it up on him? Maybe all of her meds are like making her blood like not coagulative. And
Oh
it's
my
just, just spewing out everywhere.
I think she's also, it's interesting, we talk about, Dexter getting sloppy lots of times, and she's been very sloppy through all of this as well. It's like I was thinking back, like tonight she told him that, she was telling Quinn that she got back and the cops were already there. But they weren't, and she made the call. And I remember when she was on the call, she also said, go or get out to Dexter, which if they're recording that 911 call or that call in, they would have a record of her telling somebody else there, like, go or get out. So there's a lot of little things where she's, now kind of falling in his shoes and being sloppy.
And at some point they're going to say, where did you get the sandwich? Where did you go for the sandwich? Yeah, and it's a mess.
Yeah,
It's a mess.
It is a big mess. JJ, I noticed that thing too. Seriously, like her events that she told Quinn are out of sync, but it's not like he was kind of using it to like as a record and he's gonna double check stuff. But maybe it's gonna be lingering up there in his mind, and he's gonna be like, "Hey, you told me that the Fort Lauderdale, FLPD was already there and you arrived." But they have it down in their reports that you were there first.
Which, and I do think he is, because when Dex gets Deb out of there, he's already kind of looking like, what was that? He just all of a sudden comes in out of, pulls her out right when things are getting kind of intense.
Yeah.
So I feel like he's already starting to think about things. I mean, not there yet, but I think that was the first kind of like, and I also think with Jamie saying all you ever do is think about her, like, I think he's just going to think about it more and more and more.
I had that as predictions last week. Well, in my mind I did. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
With that scene where she's talking to Quinn, she's like, things are getting heated, and Dexter pulls her out, family emergency. I was actually finding it a little comedic when she's going into the thing and Dexter was playing like the younger brother role, like always wanting to snoop in on what the sister is doing, like seeing him like look and then sneak in there. I honestly thought it was kind of comical because that's honestly what siblings do when they're not invited to a conversation.
Yeah, I actually feel like there wasn't, aside from that, which I actually didn't find comical.
Thank you, Sean.
No problem, Stephen. There wasn't that much comedy at all. Like there were many scenes with Masuka in there. And the only joke that he had, which was actually kind of funny, was, "Hey, now if I cop a feel, it's not sexual harassment."
Love that one. I was like, yay, finally. I miss his lines.
But other than that, there wasn't that much comedy. It was a very serious episode. And even when Deb came in and Matthews made that remark about him being really disappointed in her, it was just like, wow, Matthews was like, he was hardcore with that statement.
That was like Matthews versus LaGuardia status.
Almost.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, don't bite my head off. This episode, very lackluster for me. Like, Dexter didn't really do anything. It was a lot of talking. It was a lot of talking. There was some action with Deborah and El Sapo, and there's some information, but there really wasn't that much information that we didn't already know.
Well, there were 3 dead bodies and 1 kill.
Yeah.
And I think they're trying to, definitely lay the groundwork with Vogel and the influence. I mean, I know we're going to get to that later.
No,
but
let's
I
go.
Think,
We can actually rock into it.
So, yeah, I think they need to, I think they're really trying to develop that and explain how, this new side of where Dexter and the code came to be. So I think that's also why there was a little more explanation in this episode.
We get lots of videos.
Yeah.
Lots of videos.
We did have a lot of videos, and that's kind of like replacing flashbacks. So with Vogel's influence and Dexter's past, we get to see a lot of what happened while Dexter was developing as a teenager, turning into a killer, and even the episode opens up with a VHS tape of Harry talking, and it seems like Vogel's the interviewer, right? And he's talking about how concerned he is about Dexter, and what was it that what they were talking about, like right in that first tape?
They were talking about Dexter kept begging Harry to take him to a homicide scene, and Harry finally sneaks him in, and it was a slide glass door that somebody ran through, and of course there's going to be blood everywhere. If anyone's ever seen Ghost, seeing glass glow through somebody is very
And Dexter even took home a piece of, was it that one or was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
that
took home a memento from the crime scene, which was really fascinating. And it's like, it's just like his blood slides. I wonder if he remembers that. Oh, yeah, he did say he remembered that particular crime scene. And he also was looking at it like a painting, and he wanted to be the painter, which I thought that was pretty fascinating and creepy at the same time.
If your son told that to you, you would also be like, okay.
Yeah.
Son, you're not going to be a killer. Sorry, I don't want you to grow up like that. But apparently Vogel and Harry, they end up trying to mold him, and they give him these codes. And Vogel reveals that she was the one who said to use these codes, right? Which is really fascinating because Harry, we always see Harry in the flashbacks from previous seasons. Harry is always saying the code, the code, the code. But we do never get to see how he came up with it. And it's like, he kind of explains here and there, which we took as being, okay, that's the explanation for it.
Yeah.
But now we know that Vogel is the one who did it. But then again, she very well may be lying.
Well, it's really interesting because we've always kind of had this, well, I've always kind of had, like, is Harry a good guy or not? My assumption has always been that the code came from all of his years of police work. But it was really interesting tonight to see him crying and very upset. Like, so my suspicions are right. So he's a psychopath, he's going to grow up to be this way. And to see him kind of devastated over that was, this whole new side to Harry.
Yeah, I totally agree. I thought that was interesting as well. Like, I just always pictured him, he seems so strong in this code. So to see him vulnerable and, like, not as the creator of the code was a different kind of turn for me.
Well, it also, and Harry's code, like, it was also stemmed from Harry capturing lots of people and then seeing them go free because of the court of law. Like, that's where it was from, because I think in the books, I don't remember correctly, like, I don't remember vividly, but I think it goes into, like, a certain case that Harry worked really hard on, that the killer, like, killed, like, 5 women, kind of stuff like that, and he just walked. And this was, like, Dexter's graduation kind of thing.
Yeah, I thought that was fascinating how they were able to do those VHS tapes, and then they even had they had them on DVD, which was pretty interesting. But we got to explore Dexter's past that way. I really feel like Vogel is not telling Dexter everything also. Like, at the end, let's fast forward to the end of the episode, or near the end, where she had somebody get into her place. We did see that they left a DVD as well. There was a third person there. So someone, we know now that this new killer, the brain surgeon, who we have, Masuka dubbed them the brain surgeon, is coercing people. And I feel like that is like a really good way to be a serial killer, right? Because you're not doing it. You have virtually no evidence to... Stephen is backing away from me right now. But what did you guys think about this new revelation we had this episode?
I still don't trust her either, though. I feel like she could have very well set the DVD there and like been the shooter and had the gun to the guy's head. Like, I just feel like she's still manipulating and effing with his brain.
She could have. You're right, JJ. She could have been the killer. She could have been that person who was taping and ended up shooting the dude. What was his name? Lyle Sussman?
Yeah.
She could have been the person there. She could be hiring someone else. It could be like this whole mastermind thing, kind of like, what's that one guy who's in jail with the swastika on his head?
Manson?
Yes, she could have been like Charles Manson, just manipulating everybody.
There are a lot of those guys.
Can I say something that might blow your mind?
Blow it.
Do it.
Okay. Oh wait, but she did shoot him in the head. Okay, I was about to say,
Just say
what if she's in control, she's having these people do these murders, and that's how she still doesn't fit Harry's code, but she is the one that is orchestrating it all. Because the producer said she does not fit Harry's code. But if she is the one who's orchestrating everything,
then she kind of does, because she's a bad person, and she's manipulating and forcing other people to kill themselves. Dexter in season 1, or maybe it was season 2, but I think it was season 1. Dexter killed that one dude who was a counselor.
That's true, too.
That therapist, and he was telling people to kill themselves, right? So
I just don't like her. I don't like her.
I don't either. I know.
I want to find any way to make her the main villain.
Yeah, and then at the end too, she has that really creepy hug with him, and she just
that's such a creepy hug.
yeah. It's bringing it back to almost like she's saying she's his mother this whole time. Like, in a way, I'm like your spiritual mother, and then she gives him a hug like that. It's kind of like incest all over again this season.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
She said a couple of things, though, that she seemed surprised by. she said, people like you don't usually seek an emotional connection. And that was after Dexter said, well, I would have liked to have somebody to talk to during those years, during that time. And then he also suggested that maybe Sussman had an accomplice of some sort. And she said, well, no, that couldn't be the people like you, people like him, whatever. But we know that Dexter has worked with partners in the past. So, maybe she's wrong about Dexter, and maybe, I don't know, that's just what we're sensing from her, that she's made mistakes, and so he doesn't trust her, and maybe like the reason we don't trust her is because he doesn't.
Yeah, she says she knows him so well, but you're right. That's the emotions, the working with partners thing, and he's like, what was it he said to her when he's like, you're the one who knows me, you should know I was going to do this, you should know I wasn't going to trust you.
Yep.
Right.
It's just so, that end was really creepy.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what's not creepy. Going onto the iTunes store, typing into the search bar, Adventures of Serial Buddies, or hell, just type in Serial Buddies, and guess what comes up? A funny, hugely amazing film, Serial Buddies. Go ahead and download it. Help us out here. Yes, right. You guys listening, our AfterBuzz fans, go ahead and download that film, and guess what? You're going to enjoy yourself. It's like Dexter meets Dumb and Dumber. Am I right, guys? And there's so many actors that make awesome cameos in it. Obviously, it's Maria Menounos is in it. It's written and directed by Kevin Undergaro. We got Christopher Lloyd in there, Christopher McDonald, Artie Lang, who else?
Henry Winkler.
Beth Bears.
Kathy Lee Gifford, she's in it too. So it's just an amazing, funny film. Check it out. My favorite character was Gian Molina's character in it. It's just so funny. Anyway, let's go and talk about El Sapo. So, did I make a prediction last time that he was going to die? I think I did. I want to say yes, I did.
Roll back the tape.
Pat on the back for me. But El Sapo ended up getting killed really, thank you, Stephen, he got just murdered this episode. And
he got just murdered.
He got shot up really good. And we didn't even get to see who did it, obviously, because they want to keep us in suspense and like have like a little veil of mystery around it. And they want us to guess to see if Deborah actually did it or not. I'm sure she didn't, though. Like we've been talking about this whole time. What did you guys think about him beating Deborah up in the storage?
He kicked her ass.
He left a good shoe print on her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not that much else, right?
No, and I think good timing on his exit, Like, I didn't need him to hang around too many episodes, so I didn't mind seeing him get shot up tonight. But
you know what, Stephen? You were right last time when you were saying they weren't going to play up the mob thing very much.
Yeah.
They terminated that lickety-split.
Good, because I didn't want the same as last season. But yeah, he
Lickety split.
golly gosh,
I'm throwing out all the old metaphors and what catchphrases from the 50s, right? Okay.
Now wait a cotton picking minute, all right?
It's the sweet version of the Dexter.
Yes.
Awesome.
This is the non-dark Dexter AfterBuzz TV show.
It's good. It balances out a little bit.
So do you remember in the episode Pepperidge Farm? I'm sorry, totally bad. Okay, but no, his character. Funny how this actor always gets killed by something. Everything I see him in.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know if it was good timing on him. I don't know. He kicked her ass, but at the same time, it was a very kind of weird scene in the way that he just didn't shoot her, because from his character, like stalking her, following her, and talking about the mob ties, it really doesn't seem like, and he's a hitman, it really doesn't seem like someone who would leave somebody who's seen them and knows who they are.
Yeah, I feel like he should at least have left her like more incapacitated somehow or something.
Well, if he was going to leave her alive, I figured he'd walk behind her, get her in like a headlock and put her out of sleep, and then you see him dead or something like that. Or even he was wearing a mask or something, maybe something like that. But she straight up saw him. She knows who he is, and he's a hitman. He's just going to let her.
Yeah.
It could be that he was working, like we talked about earlier, he may have been working with Elway, and it may even be further than he was a mob hitman. What if he was also like an undercover investigator with Elway Investigations, and all that information may have been planted out there, perhaps, for PD and everybody to see, and maybe if any other criminals want to look up his record, they could find it.
I don't think we'll go that deep. I don't know, but maybe we'll find out if Elway has connections to the mob that we were talking about before, because we always are distrusting of Elway. I don't know. We have two storylines, and they both have.
We don't trust these people.
Yeah,
we don't trust.
Serious trust issues.
Yeah, we have two storylines, and they both involve somebody killing somebody, and we don't know who kills them.
I do agree with you, and I keep wanting to call him El Guapo, El Sapo. Like, for him to be like stalking her like he was and be so intense, I do find it odd that like when she's, doesn't even know he's there, that he wouldn't just like blast her in the leg, with his own gun. I mean, we see him, he comes up and grabs her gun, and then it's like. He'd be armed with his own and do something to it just wasn't the scene that how you thought it would go down with those two, I thought.
See, that's why I'm thinking he may have been hired by Elway, like not to kill her, just to like, okay, I'm just gonna mug her and take the jewel and get. Are you shaking your head over there, Steven?
A little bit, just even that, like he must have been hired to beat the crap out of her. Because honestly, it makes no sense that he wouldn't walk in there, club her over the head with something, maybe chloroform her, maybe headlock her, something, except they obviously get in a fight because he walks up behind her, has the jump on her, and decides at that point to take her gun and start beating her up.
I actually totally agree with you that he was paid by Elway.
Well, yeah.
And so I think that's what he thought he was going to get.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And everything points to him, right? Being the killing Briggs, roughing up Deb, and where's the jewel? They didn't say anything about it, right?
That's the other thing. I really don't understand undercover investigations. I just don't. And Sean, I know you have some experience in criminal something. Tell me again. I'm sorry.
Oh, I've done numerous ride-alongs, and I have my bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and I've fingerprinted some stuff.
He's a big deal. You guys.
I fingerprinted $250,000 worth of marijuana once. No big deal.
Nice. So, okay, so, but this, whatever it is that Elway does, I assume that if they recover these jewels, those are to be handed over to either the owners, right? Or, so, if they never find them, then they don't get that reward. Or they do find them and they fence them themselves.
Could do that too.
I mean, how does it work? I don't.
Well, if he's a crooked guy, if Elway's a crooked dude, then I think the sky's the limit, right? He can do whatever he wants with the jewels, and I'm sure you can. I don't even know how much the jewels are worth. They haven't alluded to that at all, but it seems like it would be worth a lot of money.
I've heard, a couple of different numbers. I thought because today Deb said half a million.
Yeah.
And
Did they?
She did.
Yeah.
But I thought they said it was more before. Whatever. But
Man.
It's a lot.
I must have been buried in my notes. I missed that one.
Maybe $500,000 was the 20%. Maybe that's what they meant.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
So it's like it's probably like a $5 million, like $1 million, like thing.
Okay.
That's like,
well, like
it's tons of money, man.
Elway was hired to find this guy probably by the mobsters who the jewels were stolen from. So they probably hired the hitman to find him, and they also hired Elway to find him, and they kind of crossed paths. So that's what I see. I see that Elway their promise was the reward of 25 or something percentage of the jewels if they got him back, and the hitman was being paid to find the guy and kill him and get the jewels back.
So much speculation. Well, we'll save more. We'll save more predictions for later on. Let's talk about the brain surgeon. We actually talked about this mystery person. We don't know if it's a man or a woman a lot, but so it could be that it very well could be that it's Vogel who's doing it. Who's the brain surgeon. I think it's kind of weird how they're not checking the jars. Like, they didn't even talk about checking the jars where the brains are in for prints at all, right? Like, they were so sloppy to leave prints on the plastic bag, but there's no prints on the jar.
But they don't know about the jar, though.
Yeah.
Vogel's not telling them about the jar.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it was on her doorstep, suspiciously.
Well, Dexter, he could
test
check
it.
them, yeah, easily. And just go back to the lab. He always does that all the time for everything, for blood, for DNA, for fingerprints. I don't know what's stopping him, but maybe this supposed killer, the brain surgeon, is careful enough not to leave stuff on the stuff that matters versus the stuff that is leading them purposefully to other people. Like that bag clearly led them over to Lyle Sussman's place, and then subsequently to the cabin where he ended up being found dead.
I feel like Vogel is like a controlling, like serial killers are like very controlling. They like to be right. She even says it. I feel like since she has so much access to these killers, that there's another person who's like Dexter, and she might be somewhat putting them against each other.
It's an interesting hypothesis.
Because she's very controlling of Dexter. Like he won't go after her killer. So she's like, well, what are you doing? Like well, what about Deb? She's being like overprotective girlfriend. Like seriously.
It's almost too like she was like she has all these plans for like I get the sense that like she's she said how proud she was of him. She sees so it's almost like she's continuing to build him up almost to face off against somebody. Like maybe there's somebody that she can't solve or she can't like get, and then like she wants him to.
Well, maybe
Dexter to take him out, or
maybe if she's a psychopath in the sense that her tools for killing are serial killers themselves. And she's using two people, and now she's using Dexter against one of her old students who doesn't obey her anymore. He's her new pet. He's her new serial killer pet.
Yeah, and she wants to get up close. I wrote that in my notes. She wants to get up close to him, perhaps, to study him more. And she's been doing it from a distance for all these years, for 3 decades virtually. So she wants to get like really, really close and in detail. She wants to talk to him and get what's in his mind now, and she has the opportunity to do that. Anna, did you have something?
Well, a couple of things about that. First, she said that the reason she stayed away is out of respect for Harry. And she did say that she needed to call in a favor. But if she has all of these other patients who are other psychopaths where she's used unorthodox methods, I mean, Dexter couldn't be the only one that she could call in a favor with. Right? No?
Yeah, maybe she could very well do that, but she may very well have just chosen him because that's where they started. That's where their special connection began. Maybe he was the youngest one she ever started working with, and that's why she feels like his mother.
She seems to have a sick preoccupation with him, or whatever.
She's lying.
She could be lying.
People do that.
Everybody does that
Especially
on
when
this
they're
show.
psychos.
Creepy lady with dead eyes do that. Her eyes look like she's
Her
dead.
eyes are creepy.
They are. Anyway, if there's not much else, I think we've exhausted the brain surgeon. Let's go ahead and move into our news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So we got a couple of things. I actually wanted to mention iTunes stuff. We got some good reviews on there, some 5-star reviews from a couple of our fans. L.A. Angel 2012 last week, or just a couple of days ago, said, I'm thinking since Harrison is older and more mature, in the end, Dexter will die, and then Harrison has his first kill, whether it's only an insect or an animal, and Dexter's ghost, like Harry, will appear and tell Harrison it's time to learn the code. P.S. Love the podcast.
I thought that
funny.
prediction was awesome. I thought that's a really good. Yeah, I could see it.
That's a really creative one. And we had one more, which is really short, from Reb Yell 77, 5 stars. They said, great show, and I like the cast and the insight they offer. Oh, well, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Stephen, did you have any news and gossip?
Oh, I forgot to send in the picture of the cake.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
that was great.
Yeah, talk about the cake.
If you look up online, they're streaming in the Fox, was it France or EU, something like European Fox station. They're streaming Dexter, or not streaming, but they're airing Dexter. And to celebrate this, they made a life-size, creepingly real Dexter cake, which had saran wrap over the head and everything. And the pictures are them cutting Dexter's head off and like plating it. Very creepy. Very cool, though, and we better have it for our finale, is what Anna said.
I said that we better, and yeah, if we do a live finale, I mean, that means that all of the AfterBuzzers would be invited out. So I'm just saying right now, today, guys, like, you should maybe start.
Marissa is the bomb.
If you guys are watching us on our YouTube channel, you can see the
Kind
cake.
of looks like Pinhead, like with the. Never mind.
It's
old.
creepy.
It does kind of look like Pinhead right there because the way they're cutting the cake. And there's some other shots that show the cake pieces of the cake on the plate, and it's just so weird to see the eyes just separate from the rest of the body.
Yeah.
And
So-
they're all squared.
If you had a 10-year-old who wanted that cake for his party, do you need to like introduce him to a Vogel or something like that?
My 10-year-old
Quite possibly.
would not be watching Dexter. They would not even know what it is.
No.
Before we move into predictions, I did want to bring up something that we forgot to mention on the show.
Well, I did have a couple of other pieces.
go.
I do too.
That.
Okay.
Okay,
go.
so Amy Garcia's Twitter account, at Amy, spelled AIMEE_Garcia. She had some interesting pictures that I want to talk about. So if you guys want to see them, you can check out her tweets. And she said, only in LA do you find a place called Crappy Apartments. And like the picture is just awesome because it's like they meant to put Capri Apartments and they spelled it CRAPI Apartments. And it's like, is that a nice place to live?
Yeah, no.
Funny stuff. And she also had another twit pic, and she tweeted at lunch with my girl and got served with water from this scientific beaker, hashtag only in LA. And it looks like it is, I will answer what kind of a beaker it is, Amy. It's actually an Erlenmeyer flask. Thank you, Stephen. I had to look it up again just to confirm, and I did like a voice search. So I was like, okay, I said, Siri, is it an Erlenmeyer flask? Boom, it was. Got it.
I'm
done.
Okay, I just had one small thing. If you guys want to check out, there's a great interview with Michael C. Hall on Jimmy Kimmel from this past week, so you can go to abc.com. On there, he said they were having a good conversation about what things he might keep from the set after 8 years of working on Dexter, and he said he might keep his ID badge and his watch and maybe some of the blood spatter pictures.
Blood spatter.
They asked what he would do in his spare time afterwards, and he said he'd like to have just some free time to maybe be a strawberry farmer, so if people wanted to send him seeds. And he also said that they asked him perks of being Dexter, and he said, well, when he's in line at the supermarket, he thinks people are afraid of him, so they let them go in front of him so that he doesn't kill them. And the other thing he mentioned was that he directed this episode that we just watched tonight and talked about.
Very good.
First
Great
episode
job.
he directed.
Great job.
I have one other thing. It's not really specific. It's just they've been getting back in full swing with the Dexter Wrap-Up podcast with Scott Reynolds, who was in here last season, and they've gotten some pretty good interviews in there for the past few weeks. So after you check out our recap at AfterBuzz, check out their interviews at that one.
Anna had something also to share.
There's a great interview with Jennifer Carpenter on entertainmentweekly.com this week, and they talked about the secret to her intense performance. And just gave a few examples where she was like, they were hosing her down because she needed to look cold for something, and she was screaming that it was so cold. And they said, the more you observe her, that Carpenter feels everything. It's the way she works. They said Carpenter's portrayal of the volatile Deborah Morgan is more akin to possession. She said that for the season that she would like to see Deb die. And upcoming, she would like to go into comedy.
Very good. I could see her on something like Happy Endings, a show like that.
Yeah.
Or The New Girl.
I think she'd be great on comedy, and you could understand why after 8 years of this intensity that comedy might be a nice change for her.
I'd actually like to see her on Graceland. I do the Graceland after show, and it's very similar, like her character would be similar, but they do add in so much of that comedy aspect. That'd be great.
I had one last piece of news and gossip with Jennifer Carpenter involved, actually. She tweeted from her account, at J2TheCarpenter, and she said, Comic-Con 2013 is officially a go for me. I'll sharpen my Sharpies. You charge your iPhones. Let's do this. And she tweeted that 4 days ago. So she's going to be at Comic-Con this year in San Diego. Awesome. I was just down there yesterday, and it's seriously, there's Comic-Con signs everywhere on the streets. I wish I could be going, but those things sell out. Lickety split.
Nice.
I think since we do the Dexter after show at AfterBuzz, we should all get invited. Jennifer.
Perhaps. Hopefully she's listening. Let's go ahead and move into...
Wait.
You have something else?
We can cut off the news. Cool. We forgot to talk about Batista and Quinn and Jamie real quick, so I wanted to throw that in there.
Right.
And what you guys think about their whole situation, because, of course, Batista's a good detective.
He's a good detective. Oh my gosh, that's all he's doing is talking to people. He probably heard them sleeping in the next room.
Yeah. And then with the fight, he heard her just complaining about the fight. So yeah, he's a good detective. But what do you think about Quinn taking the sergeant's test? Is Batista trying to make Quinn give him like Deb's job, like that office, or like move up in the metro, or what?
Yeah, I think like if he wants to be with his sister, that he wants him to step up and be a man, like you said, and then kind of be able to.
He's always tried to make Quinn better himself.
I just don't think Quinn has it in him. No. I think Quinn's gonna die this season. I still do. I thought he was gonna die all last season.
I liked his hair better last season. He chopped it all off this time. It's a damn shame.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You go.
Okay. It's dumb. I love that Batista watches Spanish soap operas.
Yeah,
That's new.
that was awesome.
Yeah, I love that. Actually, I know all last season I wanted Quinn and Deb to get back together, so I kind of I'm not sad if Quinn starts taking more of an interest in Deb's life again.
Nah. I want him to stick with Jamie.
I know you
Stick
guys
with
do.
her. She's so cute. Oh my goodness. Let's move on to our predictions.
It's kind of out there, but do you think Quinn killed El Sapo?
TV.
No, I doubt that very much. Okay, I feel like Vogel is in love with Dexter in some kind of sick, twisted, demented way with the way she was embracing him this episode. I feel like that's probably going to get revealed later on. I also feel like Deb's going to really try to get arrested and be put in prison, and she's like testing the system. You know, she's seeing like what she can get away with. Stephen?
I think that Vogel is like this master manipulator of serial killers, and that she herself is a psychopath that uses serial killers as her tools to accomplish her goals, and she uses that to write her books because she knows the words to say. She knows how to manipulate the mind of a serial killer because she is the brain psychoanalyst for those kind of people. And she knows, she's even worked it into Dexter with her talk of serial killers who need it. Like, that stuck with him. As soon as she said it, it stuck with him because he's a needed force. He's the alpha male. So I think that we'll see some of that going down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Elway is a douche. I mean, a villain.
Anna?
I think that Quinn and Jamie will be ones to put together pieces because Dexter often lies to Jamie. Oh, I'm at work, I'm this, I'm that. And so between Deb calling in all these phone calls to Quinn and Jamie being the basically live-in babysitter, I think they together will put together pieces of Dex and Deb. What is?
I totally agree with all of you guys. Yeah, I think Elway is rotten. He's evil, and I do think there's definitely going to be Quinn and Jamie when it comes down to it. Quinn might be the one that has to kill Deb or do something drastic.
Do you think Dex is going to die by the end of the season? Still?
Yes.
I do.
Okay.
He shall die. Seriously, if he doesn't die, I think I'm gonna be a tad bit peeved and disappointed.
Watch them end the season with a cliffhanger and be like, see the Dexter movie in 2014.
That would suck. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching us here at our Dexter podcast on AfterBuzz TV. Be sure to tune in next week. We're going to be recapping and breaking down episode 3. And go ahead and give me a follow. I'm at Sean Austin O on Twitter and Instagram.
I'm at Stephen Lemieux on Twitter, and you can also now comment on our videos as if they were YouTube on our new website at AfterBuzzTV.com, so check that out.
And I'm at JJ Jurgens on Twitter and Facebook.
And I'm at Koppel for Mayor, and Sean and I will be back at 9 o'clock to talk about Ray Donovan.
Great show, too.
Yeah.
Watch these guys.
Thanks so much, guys. We'll buzz with you next week.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz
you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.